Single Dad CEO asks his maid to pretend to be his fake girlfriend. Unexpectedly, she'd steal his heart. The headlines in glossy business magazines always called him the ice king. Ethan Cole, ruthless CEO, billionaire, widower, and father to a 7-year-old girl who had already learned what loneliness looked like. To the world, Ethan was untouchable. But behind the glass walls of his empire, he was just a single dad who didn't know how to braid hair, pack school lunches, or silence the ache of guilt for always being too busy. Then came Maria. She was not polished, not powerful, not the kind of woman who belonged in the same room as Ethan Cole's board members or investors. She was his maid, quiet, humble, moving through his mansion like a shadow, always careful not to disturb. But she was the only one who made his daughter laugh. The little girl would follow Maria around the kitchen like a loyal puppy, begging for bedtime stories or home-cooked pancakes. Ethan noticed, but he never said much. He just watched. One night, after another brutal meeting with shareholders demanding to see the family man side of him, Ethan made a decision that even he didn't fully believe. He cornered Maria in the kitchen, his tie loosened, his voice rough with embarrassment. "I need a favor," he said. He blinked, confused. "Yes, sir? I need you to pretend to be my girlfriend just for a dinner. Investors want to see stability, a family image." Maria froze, nearly dropping the dish she was holding. Her world had always been small, working 2 jobs, sending money back home, keeping her head down. To be paraded in front of men in suits as the billionaire's girlfriend, impossible. But then she saw his daughter standing at the doorway, holding her stuffed bunny, eyes wide with hope, and Maria heard herself whisper, "Okay." The first dinner was supposed to be a performance. She wore a borrowed dress, sat beside him under crystal chandeliers, and kept her smile small but steady. What Ethan didn't expect was how effortlessly she made people lean in, how her warmth turned stiff conversations into laughter. Investors who had once doubted him nodded approvingly, impressed not by Maria's background, but by her authenticity. Ethan, for the first time in years, felt proud. And yet something shifted after that night. Pretending didn't end at the dinner table. He found himself waiting for her to walk into a room, noticing how she hummed softly while folding laundry, how she carried kindness in every small gesture, like leaving sticky notes with encouragement for his daughter, or quietly making tea when she saw Ethan working too late. Still, he told himself it was just an arrangement, until one rainy afternoon, his daughter had a fever. Panic gripped Ethan's chest. He could conquer billion-dollar deals, but not a sick child. Maria was already there, cradling the little girl against her shoulder, whispering lullabies in a language Ethan didn't understand. He stood in the doorway, helpless, until his daughter reached for Maria, not him, whispering, "Don't go." That moment pierced him deeper than any corporate battle ever had. He realized Maria wasn't filling a role. She was filling a void. The walls he had built so carefully began to crack. He started joining Maria in the kitchen, asking clumsy questions about her life. She told him about her family, her struggles, the sacrifices she made. Ethan listened, not as a CEO, not as the Ice King, but as a man who had forgotten what it meant to connect. The twist came when the investors pushed for a public engagement, an official announcement. Ethan was ready to refuse. He couldn't ask Maria to keep pretending, not when the line between fake and real had blurred beyond recognition. But before he could say a word, Maria looked at him across the table, her eyes steady. "Mr. Cole," she said softly, "I never wanted any of this, but your daughter, she deserves a home filled with love, not just money." Her words shattered him, not because they were harsh, but because they were true. For the first time in years, Ethan didn't feel like a man who was losing control. He felt like a man finally finding it, and it wasn't through power or image or lies. It was through the quiet strength of the woman who had walked into his life as a maid and stolen his heart when he least expected it.